Hey everybody, welcome back to Movies and That. I'm your host Cody, and today we're going to talk a little bit about how I think they could bring back A Nightmare on Elm Street. So A Nightmare on Elm Street has been dead and not heard from, unseen for about 15 years now. So the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street came out back in 2010, and it did not get a whole lot of love. So it got pretty bad reviews. I don't think it really was that big of a box office hit either. So it definitely was a step down from what we were used to with Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, and not to say Jack Earl Haley, did anything wrong or anything like that. I actually thought the way he portrayed Freddy, just kind of in his mannerisms and the way he spoke, I think he did very well there. It's just the makeup and the way they made him look, and also some lore changes with him being a child molester and stuff, didn't work, didn't go over well, especially that last part. But just the way he looked as well just made him look very weird and a little scary, but I don't know, just more weird than scary to me, in my opinion. So with that being said, let's talk about how I would bring this franchise back. And what made me think about this is they did I forget who it was, but did an interview with Robert Englund just recently, and I'll put that actually up here in just a moment. But did an interview and asked him kind of his thoughts on how would you bring this back, or where do you think they could jump in the timeline and bring this back, or just how would we bring A Nightmare on Elm Street back? And he mentioned jumping off from Dream Warriors. So Part 3, Dream Warriors, and kind of a legacy sequel to that. And that is exactly what I've always thought they should do. So that's what I'm going to talk about here. So let's talk about a legacy sequel from Dream Warriors. So how would that work? In my opinion, what they would do is, or what they would need to do, is have the children from the Dream Warriors start experiencing these nightmares. So them being the catalyst for bringing Freddy back. So, because we don't have Part 4 now, we don't have Part 5, so we can kind of disregard Alice, but I think we can kind of bring her character back, just in a different type of way. But you'd still have Kristen, you'd still have Kincaid, you'd still have Joey. So you'd still have those three characters from Dream Warriors. They're now adults, and I think you could easily look to bring actually their actors and actresses back as them and reprise their roles. So bring them back and then have their children be the ones that are now getting plagued with these nightmares. And you can kind of use the lore that we got from, I think, even 4 and 5, but also mainly in Freddy vs. Jason, how people forgot about Freddy. They're not scared of him anymore. The memory of him is gone, so Freddy has no power. He can't come back. He can't start infecting people with the nightmares and then killing people because he's not powerful enough. He is just in hell, forgotten about. So that's why he had to bring Jason to the mix to make people start remembering. So maybe there's something that they can do there. Maybe there's something where one of the kids from these 3 Dream Warriors, whether it's Kincaid's or Joey's or Kristen's, start either they find out about Freddy somehow, or maybe Kristen, Joey, Kincaid slip up or start telling their kids about Freddy, or something along those lines, just to get the kids to start thinking about Freddy again, which will then give him just enough to give one of them a nightmare, just so that they start thinking and getting scared, which will then grow Freddy's power, continue to make him real again, bring him back in to these nightmares. So then I think that's the way that they could do it. So then they start dreaming and having nightmares about Freddy, all 3 of them, and they eventually tell their parents about them. So this is kind of where it gets a little I guess, different. So you still have the Dream Warriors. Freddy still remembers them. They still remember him. So you get the original Dream Warriors. Do they also start dreaming about Freddy? I mean, I know back in the day, historically this franchise has been him attacking the teenagers, and I think it was maybe Freddy's Dead where the adults started having the dreams as well, so they started bringing them into the dreams too. And Freddy's Dead, of course, sucks, but it's still in the lore. I guess you could still make that happen, so I still think you could have a movie where the original Dream Warriors, now they're kids, all of them are now experiencing these nightmares. Of course, people are going to have to die, but they can all band together and fight against Freddy and kind of take it in that direction. So I think that's the way you could bring it back. Legacy sequel from Dream Warriors, have the Dream Warriors have children, their children start remembering or, find out who Freddy is. They start thinking about him, which gives Freddy some power back. Freddy infiltrates the dreams and gives those kids nightmares again and makes them stronger. He kills one of them or two of them, brings the original Dream Warriors back in. Huge fight there. People die, whether it's kids or, the legacy characters, which you'd have to. I mean, you'd have to kill at least one or two of the legacy characters for sure. And, of course, their kids and some other things. And, even you could leave a, door open for a potential sequel there. But in my opinion, that is the best way to go. And the look of Freddy, that is important too, because they completely missed that on the reboot. Make him scary looking, make him look more like a demon, in my opinion. And that's actually something Robert Englund said in his interview, was his best makeups that he had were Part 2 and Freddy vs. Jason in the One Nightmare sequence where he looked like a demon. Because in Part 2, he looks very scary in that. That is my all-time favorite makeup of his that he keeps throughout a movie. Because in Freddy vs. Jason, the demon makeup that he has is only in the Nightmare sequence, and then he's, regular old Freddy everywhere else. But Part 2, I'm always, creeped out by him in that movie. So I think if they get the look of Freddy right, they picked a great actor to portray him, they could knock it out of the park. They could really bring a Nightmare on Elm Street back. They could make Freddy Krueger a household name again in the horror community. I'm not saying that he isn't, but he's been pushed to the side, kind of like how Jason is. Jason's starting to get back into form here, but really the only horror icons we have from the big three are, it's only Michael, and that's it. Other than that, all we have is Ghostface and then Leatherface here and there. I guess if you want to say Pinhead recently, sure, but kind of, not really. But that's really been about it. So Jason and Friday the 13th is finally getting back on the map. Their TV show's coming out. They announced, movies coming, games are coming. Nightmare on Elm Street missing out. New Line is completely missing out on a ton of money here, tons of new fans, so much untapped potential, and they should just completely wipe the slate clean, forget about the remake that they did, try it again, and if they do a legacy sequel from Dream Warriors, follow what I just said or some sort of iteration of that, I really think you can drive home success, and it's easy to do, okay? You don't really have to think too much of it. You don't have to do anything different. You have an idea already there with the Dream Warriors. They're adults now. They would have children, right? There you go. That is your plot. That is your story. And do that. But that's it, everyone. So if you like this video, of course, like, share, and subscribe, and then comment your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. I think that this is something that we desperately need back in the horror and slasher community, and I think New Line could easily do something with it. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.